Hello, family. Today I will be sharing brand lessons from a carpenter who lived 2000 years ago, a carpenter who created the world's biggest brand when he was alive, without any search engine optimization, without any social media, without any MailChimp, any email list, any community whatsoever at the time like we have it today. He was in the person of Jesus. I will be sharing with you guys branding lessons that I learned from the life and the ministry of our Lord Jesus Christ. I am a believer, so I would say our Lord. But what I'll be sharing are universal truths and principles that can be applied irrespective of your religion or your take on religion. So to introduce what I have to share, I want to read something that a little bit of research that I did, and then I delve into it. Now, did you know that according to a 2015 Pew Research Center study, the Christian population is expected to reach 3 billion people by 2050. Now, that is 40% of the current world population. 40% of the current world population. I don't think I know any brand that can claim to have 40% of the world's current population as a market share. No, I don't think I know any brand like that. Correct me if I'm wrong though, but 40% of the world's population as a market share, I don't think I know any brand like that. But by 2050, the Christian population is expected to hit that. Now, the most sold book series to date sold more than 500 copies worldwide, and that's Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. So for those of you that have not watched the Harry Potter movie, you need to understand that the movie came about out of the script that J.K. Rowling wrote, which was the Harry Potter movie. It sold 500 million copies. Now, in comparison to the Bible, you need to understand that despite the ongoing attempts to ban it, and to ridicule it throughout history, the Bible, as I speak to you today, has had an estimated 6 billion copies printed, with translation in more than 2,000 different languages. I take it again. As against Harry Potter's book, the Bible has done an estimated 6 billion copies in print and in an estimated 2,000 plus translations in languages. So the bigger question is, again, how does a carpenter build such a brand, without any search engine optimization whatsoever? How did Jesus manage to create the world's biggest brand with no viral marketing, no search engine optimization, no media broadcast whatsoever? And it leads me to talk about the lessons that I picked from the life and ministry of Jesus. The first thing that I learned from the ministry and the life of Jesus was that he told stories. He told stories. Storytelling. This is very interesting to a lot of people, but you would realize that as a brand or as a business or as an individual, a lot of the times people can relate with you when you have a story. The thing with storytelling is that the human brain is wired in such a way such that people easily get glued to stories. You easily trigger people's mind and you get people's attention when you have a story. More so a story that is easily relatable. More so a story that people can connect to you. Now, assuming I walk into a conference room right now and I'm about to speak to an audience and I just say, my name is Moses Biata. I am the President and Chief Executive of Lash Group LLC. Lash Group LLC is a diversified and integrated conglomerate with operations in Ghana and in Nigeria. We have 6 subsidiaries, and I end it. What I would have done is I would have told a story, yes, but I would not have necessarily connected to the audience. But assuming I showed up in the conference room and then I tell them, guys, this is a picture of me in the year 2017. This is not just a picture of me in the year 2017 in suit. No, this is a picture of me in the year 2017 with my team. We had come for a conference in Accra, and after the conference, we didn't have any money. So we walked from the conference center to Adenta. And when we got to Adenta, it rained so heavily, we still had to walk through the rain and get to our apartment. And the next picture I show them is probably a picture of me getting down from a Land Cruiser with a security man opening the door. And I tell them, the same guy you guys saw in the first picture is the same guy you are seeing in this picture. And so I came to tell you that your dreams are valid. My name is Moses Biatha. Now guys, listen to these two stories. Which of them do you think people will connect with the most, and why? People would, without doubt, connect with the second story because there's an element of struggle in there. Most of the times, people believe and easily connect and bond with stories that have an element of the struggle and an element of the glory. So the hustle days and the glorious days, or the hustle days and the paycheck days. That is something that people can believe in, because then what you are showing people is that it is just a process of time. What you are showing people is that irrespective of what they are going through now, their lives can literally shift in the next 2-3 years if they are willing to put in the work. And so storytelling is very important. I remember Lil Baby made a post and said a lot can happen in 5 years, because 2017, 2016, Lil Baby as we know him today was not the Lil Baby of then, you know. And so he takes to Twitter, or I think one of his social media pages, and says a lot can happen in 5 years. And that's because he's processed the time. And so storytelling is arguably very, 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 very important in building a global brand like Jesus did. If you followed the ministry of Jesus very, very well, you will realize that he will be asked the question and he'll start by telling a story. He'll start by telling a parable. Storytelling was very, very important in what Jesus was doing. It helps to position your followers and brand to make them know they believe in what you're doing, to make them know they can relate in what you are saying. And so what story sells your brand? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you make shoes? Why do you make watches? Why do you sew kaftans? Why are you a videographer? Why are you an entrepreneur? Why do you bake bread? Why do you do the things you do? Is it a relatable story that can be sold to everyone? Jay-Z is Jay-Z because he has a story that is so relatable in the hip-hop culture. A lot of people can relate with it, and so they put him here like the godfather of the game. And that is what Jesus did. Jesus showed up at a time in his era where he had beautiful stories with the people he was in. Stories that people could relate with per their culture. Stories that people could relate with per their identity. Stories that people could relate with per their everyday of living. And so it was easy for him to sell what he was doing to the world. Again, another thing that caught my attention about Jesus' ministry and life was that Jesus had brand advocates. He had brand advocates. Who are brand advocates? In other words, I call them brand evangelists. Brand evangelists or brand advocates are people who believe in what you do. They believe in your mandate. They sell your mandate like their life depends on it. Because brand evangelists, brand advocates understand that your success is their success. They understand that if you are doing well, then they will do well. So Jesus shows up on the scene and he has beautiful stories. He has a message. He has a mandate to sell, to tell the world. But he can't do it alone. So what did he do? He quickly put together a team of brand advocates. And this is what we know in our Bible as disciples. He had 12 disciples. And these 12 disciples were the people who later took time off to write about their experience with him, to write about their life with him. They took time off. They were the people who saw the man as he was. So they saw his weakness, they saw his strength, they They saw him at his best. They saw him at his low, And so he built a team of people who could easily sell what he was doing. Who are your brand advocates? Who are the people who go around telling other people that this is a good business, go back to it? I tell you guys something. If you have ever been to Dubai, you come back and become instantly a brand advocate for the place. Because especially when you come from this part of our world, Ghana, Accra, Lagos, Nairobi, especially when you come from this part of our world, when you step into Dubai for the first time, you automatically become a brand advocate for the place. You will go around telling your friends, guys, I went to the Burj, I went to the Museum of the Future, I went to this place, I went to that place, I went to that place, I went to Central, I went to the place is so much full of things to say that you literally titillate your friends to want to go there. And your friends, on a scale of 1 to 10, will be so interested to want to go to the place. Now, the thing about brand advocates and brand evangelists is that they sell your brand faster than any other thing else. Let me give you a classical example. If my friend walks up to me to tell me that there's a new sneaker shop where he bought sneakers from and the sneakers were good, what's going to happen is I don't need to think twice to go and buy sneakers from them, because my friend came to advocate to me that the sneakers over there are top notch, they are affordable, and they are good. And so whenever I think sneakers, psychologically at the subconscious frame of my mind, what comes to mind is my friend's place. And it literally works. I have seen that work play in my life several times. I have folks who, when they have to do their passports, they don't need to struggle. They just call me and go like, yo, you said you have somebody who can help me with my passport. Can I get his contact? And then the contact is released. And so that's what happens with brand advocacy. Jesus had 12. And they helped to make sure that when he was gone, or when he had ascended into glory, they took time off to pen down. And these 12 advocates multiplied themselves in others. And this is one of the things that has made certain brands stand out, because these people were literally like affiliates of Jesus Christ. And so affiliate marketing is doing great because people just believe in something and then they sell it to others and they benefit from it, And so that's one of the things that I observed from the life and ministry of Jesus, branding lessons, was that he had brand advocates and he had brand evangelists. So who are your brand advocates? In today's world, we call them brand influencers, but I don't just easily succumb to the whole influencer thing. I'm not against it, but you need influencers that believe in your brand and believe in you, the individual, and the product, as the disciples did with the Lord Jesus, and are willing to go the extra mile to make sure that that product, that message, whatever thing you are selling is being sold out there and keeps going like that. Now, the third thing I learned from the ministry of Jesus, which is very, very paramount, is that Jesus took time off to build a corporate soul. Now, this is very huge for a lot of people, and this is something that a lot of brands do not have. But one key branding lesson that I learned from the ministry of Jesus is that he took time off to build a corporate soul. Everywhere Jesus went, he left people thinking. He gave them options. He gave them a place. He left them in a place, in a mental place where they had to choose between something. People's lives were never the same after they met Jesus. He always gave them a fork in the road. There was something like the people had to, at the end of the day, you're either making a choice. You're either joining him into the kingdom or you're not joining him at all. That was because Jesus had a definite message that he was selling out there. And by means of his definite message that he was selling out there, it ended up creating a corporate soul. And so over time, when I'm consulting for some businesses, some brands, I ask them that, what is the spirit of this company? What is the soul of this company? Now, these are things that are usually not seen with the eye, but there's a culture take. it shows in the people. When you walk into UBA and you see them in their red and white outfit, you can tell that this is the corporate soul of the place. It means something to them. It's so interesting that I think somewhere last week I was on my mentor from a distance, Tony Lumelu's page, and I saw him, and I think he's in London or so with a couple of people on his team, and they were all dressed up in suits, but something stood out for me is the fact that he was in a red socks and all of them were in a red socks. Something similar that the people can relate with. What is your corporate soul? Your business that you are building, if you have a team of people around you, do they believe in the things that you believe in? And so your corporate soul or your corporate soul is something that in another terms we'll call like your brand messaging. For Jesus, it was to bring the message of salvation to humanity. It was for people to know that there's a kingdom that it's at hand and that they should come in, and then through him, he was going to bring them salvation, So what is your brand messaging for short? What is something that people can find themselves embodied in? For somebody like me, I embody the ethos, dream, dare, and do. I believe that it's not enough to dream. It's important to be a doer. The world celebrates doers. Again, I believe in possibilities. I believe that man is by far one of the biggest potentials to exist in this plane. And so I have another short messaging, or I have another embodied corporate soul, which I say we are too loaded to be empty. And lastly, there's something which is like a 10-year vision map for my life and everything I do. I call it the making of a mogul. With time, that thing is catching on phrase, and I see a lot of people using it here and there. And a couple of people have reached out to me. I had somebody tell him he wanted to use that to write a book. And I'm like, I'm going to sue you if you try using the making of a mogul for a book. Just by the way, guys. But you need to understand that there is such a thing as the corporate soul, or there is such a thing as brand messaging. Jesus had his, he made him stand out. What is that something that your business is known for? A few examples with a few of the corporate brands out there. For Nike, we know for Nike is their messaging is very simple. It's just do it. For Adidas, we see impossible is nothing. For Coca-Cola, we see things like taste the feeling. For Walmart, we see save money, live better. For Apple, my favorite, it says think differently. So guys, what is that one brand messaging that makes your business stand out? For Apple, they say think differently. For Nike, it says just do it. Nike makes you wake up in the morning and you go like, whether there's money, whether there's no money, whether things are going well or things are not going well, just do it, and the universe will reward your efforts. Again, lastly, the lesson I picked from Jesus was that he had systems around him. This is something that a lot of businesses do not pay attention to, but by far, I think that when you take out the administrative and then the administrative and the operation side of a business, holistically, we are still looking at systems. So constantly, businesses are evolving because we are building systems. The system that was running a business 10 years ago probably not be the same system that is running this business, the same business now. Now, for Jesus, he had a system of people around him in terms of hierarchy. Jesus had 12 people as brand advocates, as brand evangelists, but they all didn't have the level of access to him. So there was the crowd, there was the multitude. So in this case, there was the multitude for Jesus. And aside the multitude, there was the crowd, which they were also, then there was the 12. The 12 are his brand advocates. Out of the 12, there was the 3. Out of the 3 being Peter, James, and John. And out of the 3, there was the 1. So we see the crowd or the multitudes, we see the 12, and then from the 12, Jesus picks out 3. And from the 3, we see 1 that was very close to him. The closest to Jesus was John. It's the reason why he could write about the revelation of Jesus Christ. He knew Jesus by the heart. So there's Peter, James, and John. They formed the 3. Then there was the other 9, adding to the 3 to make the 12, and then the rest. So now, what are the systems of advantages and systems of access that you have built around you. By this, you can just tell that Jesus didn't give everybody equal access to him, even though he came for all. That's the same way when you build your brand advocates, make sure that you have premium service amongst your brand advocates. Different messaging for, it's the reason why you can't walk into a Lamborghini shop and say it's too expensive, because they built it for a particular class of people. Do you understand? And so within your brand advocates, now merging the two systems, within your brand advocates and within your brand evangelists, have the people that you give premium things to and have the people that you give free things to. What's going to happen is that the more you keep giving the free things to the people, you would actually get a couple of them coming into the premium. Out of the premium, you get some people from the premium coming into the very inner circle or the inner access. Is that not the same for places like Dubai? Give you case in point. When you walk into Dubai and you are with a $2,000 budget, you get a place to stay. But you won't tell me that a $2,000 budget will walk you into the luxurious suites of the Burj Khalifa. No, you're probably talking $25,000 to be in that place. And so the very same space, the very same thing, but offering different values because of the level of access and because of the kind of system and structure that has been set in place. So what systems and structures do you have in place? Do you relate with all your customers on the same front? A customer that showed up today should not be, your customer that showed up today, you shouldn't relate with the same customer like the customer who has been buying with you for the past 12 years. I was having a conversation with one graphic designer and I said, young man, you came to, somebody introduced you to me as a designer. Through me, you have met at least about 8 to 10 people within my network who now do designs from you. Psychologically, something should tell you that you should have a certain package for somebody like me so that it would motivate me to keep coming back to you. That's one. Another thing is, I was speaking to an artist that I've made a couple of artworks from him this year, and then I said, how come by now I don't have a loyalty card that you have made from me? This is something that a lot of brands do not consider. This is something that a lot of people do not consider. But it's very, very important in building a brand like Jesus did. And so, guys, these are just 4 lessons. There are quite a number of lessons that I learned from Jesus and his ministry around business. These are just the branding lessons. Another time I'll talk to you about marketing lessons from Jesus, because he was a phenomenal superstar when it came to marketing. Their business lessons, their family lessons, their life lessons in general, their money lessons that as well I learned from Jesus and his ministry. And so today we're looking at the branding lessons, and I hope this content blessed you. I hope that these are things you can implement in your personal brand, in your business, to bring about some change and to bring about some good progress. I hope the content bless you. Subscribe to the channel, like and share with your friends, and let me know your take about this content in the comment section, guys. Enjoy your week.